Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be going through my April planner setup, and I'll be sharing with you because this is going to be the start of my next 12-week planning session because, of course, I do planning based on the 12-week year. And you can find, I have a few other videos that talk a little bit more about 12-week planning. Very specifically, I'll try to find a couple of those and link those in the description below. But today we're just going to be talking about how I have set myself up for April and also the next 12 weeks, what my goals and some of my projects and tasks are going to be to help me meet those goals. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm not going to be switching out my planner cover at all. I'm going to go ahead and stay inside my A5 Louis Vuitton rings. And I'm also not going to be making a whole lot of changes on the interior, just going to be updating of course, just some of the planning pages to help me meet those goals for this second quarter. So, of course, one of the things I did switch out is my little date card here at the front. And again, if you watch some of my earlier videos from this year, my whole goal for this year was really to just kind of simplify my planning life and make everything much more functional. I'm not doing a lot of the bells and whistles and frills, and I stayed pretty consistent with where I was getting all my planning materials from this year. So pretty much everything I ordered this year is from Infinite Lotus. So pretty much, I mean, like, these sort of things, these are obviously from Cloth and Paper. You might recognize them. And my dividers are from Cloth and Paper as well. But all of the inserts this year are pretty much, I can double check as we go through, but I'm pretty much everything is from Infinite Lotus this year. So let's go ahead and jump in. These first few pages are just, I'm not changing these out. These are just kind of some pictures from my vision board that I created. And I just do that in Pinterest. And then as the year goes on, I just add any additional kind of pictures that, strike my fancy or, quotes and things like that that are, appealed to me, help to just kind of remind me to stay positive, stay on track, and you know, don't give up. Just keep working for it. So I have a couple little just page flags here. These are actually also from Cloth and Paper. These ones here are the sort of transparent ones, and I find on these I have to use a permanent type of felt tip, and so usually I'll use either I think it's Mr. Pen has one, or I'll use Sharpie on these because if otherwise, if you just use a normal pen, it's going to smear like crazy and make you very cranky and unhappy. So I in the front here, I like to keep just kind of a running list sometimes of things that are not necessarily, they're not necessarily tasks that are like tied to my goals, but they are things that I have to get taken care of. And so this can run the gamut of like, admin type stuff, or it could also be just sort of like things around the house that are kind of larger projects that I need to keep at the forefront. So I will kind of just have this here. It's like a catch-all list of things that I want to keep track of and that I also have to get taken care of. And right now I'm looking at this list and I can already think of 3 or 4 more things that I need to add to it. So after this video, I'll go back and get that taken care of. And so then we have these goal planner pages that I have. These are from Infinite Lotus, and I haven't really used these much this year. But what I was thinking, instead of these being something that are tied to my sort of career goals, I was wanting to sort of make these more about things that are maybe more personal in nature that are actually kind of more projects that I need to, do around the house. So you can see I have this one I have had on my list probably since the end of last year that I wanted to work on redoing our basement shower. It's a tiny little shower, and it was something that I would I don't know. I was gonna try and tackle it myself. I'm still gonna try and tackle it up until this point, but I have been so busy trying to get my latest book done and then also kind of keep up with my YouTube videos and social media content and things like that this really just keeps getting pushed and pushed. So I think the idea is once I finish the first draft, of my new book, which is Her Name Was Lola, then I'm gonna kind of come back to this goal planner page for this basement shower and really kind of fill out all of the action steps that I need to kind of be aware of and start working on this. I think this is going to be like a really good project to tackle in the summer months. One, because my basement stays nice and cool in the summer, and I will want to spend more time down there than I did in the winter, of course, when it's pretty freezing down there. So I think this is going to be a summer, and I have not added any more just kind of personal or household goals at this point because I really am just laser focused on trying to get this new book done and finished. So next I have this admin section. Again, not a lot here. This is just going to be like where I do have any business expenses that I want to track. And then this is basically just this perpetual calendar where I keep track of like when I have big things. Like I recently had like a small medical procedure in January. I just wanted to write down the exact date that happened on so I don't forget because I know they'll ask me about it every single time I go to the doctor moving forward. And then here I just have a little pocket where I keep receipts that I'm going to want to have that are basically like business expenses and things like that. So then we get into my personal tab. This is where I keep my habit tracker. I did do a little short that I uploaded yesterday, setting up my new habit tracker for April. And you can already see I've gotten a few things on there. On the back is just my March habit tracker. And then I have these weekly cleaning sheets. I like these. These really kind of help me wrap my head around or keep up on just sort of the things around the house that I am, keeping on top of. There are the sort of the daily tasks here that I like to track. And in fact, we can go ahead and mark that there and there. And this one, because I did those this morning. I also did that this morning. But so I have the daily things that these are things that just they need to happen every day. And then throughout the week, I plan some of the larger cleaning tasks when I have the availability to get those things done. Because I think I've mentioned it before in previous videos. I am not somebody who thrives in chaos. I need the house to be fairly clean. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like I'm definitely not like a super perfectionist when and you can walk through my house and it is not perfect, but I can't have a lot of clutter. I can't have a lot of dirty spaces, that type of thing, because it just kind of hangs over me. And I find it makes it difficult for me to think straight and then also to be creative because I just kind of, for me to any excuse to kind of procrastinate on writing. And so, like, if the bathroom is a mess or there's, clothes on the floor or something like that, it's like it'll just kind of eat away at me. So it's just easier if I kind of keep on top of things. And I would say that this weekly cleaning checklist from Infinite Lotus definitely helps out there. Okay, so now we are going to jump to April because we are in April for sure. And so this is just sort of the monthly spread again from Infinite Lotus. And I've just added a few things that I have going on. Now, this is not, I don't do my main, any kind of content planning or anything on here. This is really just sort of like appointments that I have. Because I have a hair appointment next week, and then I have to take one of our dogs, Billy, in for his grooming appointment, and then a couple of things that were high level items that I had to remember for work. But other than that, like this is really, I don't put like all the days that I work on here either. This is really just, appointments and things like that that I, need to be aware of and keep track of and I don't want to miss out. And so then also as the month goes on, like if Rod and I go do something, I'll mark it on here just so that I can remember, like I'm pretty sure we're going out tonight. But we're kind of spontaneous and we don't always, make exact plans unless it's going to be like a dinner reservation or like a holiday or our anniversary or something like that. So I will go back and I'll put on here where we went and what we did so that I can reference that. Like if I need to like flip back and think, when was it that we did that thing? I have record of it in here. So that's just kind of how I use this space. It's pretty casual, but that was one thing that I changed for this year. Even though I do 12-week planning with regards to my goals, my projects, and my tasks, and we'll get to that in a second, I like to have all the months in here. And I actually also have all my weekly pages in here. And the reason why is because when it comes time to, like, you can see I'm going on this trip in London for the self-publishing show. Um, and I like to have that marked out so that I can reference it and check it. Additionally, if we flip over to November, um, I have marked out here when I have vacation, and also that I'm going to be at Author Nation uh, from the 10th and through, is that right? The 10th through the 13th or through the 15th. So anyway, it just one of those things that it's like so that I can keep track of it. I know when it's coming up, and that if I'm trying to make a future dentist appointment or something like that, I'm not overbooking myself. I take this with me pretty much everywhere. And then if somebody's like, "Can you do this on this date?" I can flip through here pretty easily and be like, "Oh, nope, I've got this going on. Let's pick a different date," kind of thing. So I just found that, when I was only keeping 3 months in here or 12 weeks in my planner at a time, I really missed having access to the monthly pages where I could, at a glance flip to it really quick and be like, ah, that worked, that's not going to work. And here's when we can do it instead. And so this has really been working for me. And I am going to be keeping this. I'm not going to change this out, at least not yet. We'll see how I feel come June. But it's also nice to flip back and look at previous dates. When did I do that thing? When was that? And so that has been handy, and it's going to be staying. So for these Infinite Lotus pages, they have this sort of overview dashboard kind of thing, like basically for the month. And you can go through and list your three top priorities for the month, any important dates, and then like this task list, like here. And I really like this, and I have used this to some degree. You can see back here in March, I did fill it out a bit, and I think I will probably sit down and go ahead and do that again here for April. I'm not going to do it right now, and the reason why is because I think it's going to take up too much time, and I always worry about these videos being too long as it is. And I really want to spend our time together today talking about these pages, because these are kind of the meat and potatoes of kind of is sort of the backbone of my plans for the next 12 weeks. And so these are pages that I created myself. I didn't get them from anywhere. And I really designed them to kind of go, hand in hand with the 12-week planning system. And, just made them a way that like it makes it really work for me. So we're going to talk about that. Here we have the first kind of week on and you can see that it's just the, what do you call that? I don't even know what you call these. I can't think of it. It's not the vertical layout. Is it the horizontal layout maybe? But we can see we have this week. What are your kind of, your top overviews, something you want to remember. You've got your three priorities for the week, a to-do list. And then down here, I make my own little it's just sort of like a mini habit tracker for writing and working out, which are the two things that I really want to make sure that I'm doing as much as possible. No, this week has been a bit abysmal. I haven't felt that great with regards to the working out. So I've just been kind of taking the week sort of easy. We'll see how if I finish out because today is Friday, so well, let's face it, I'm not going to work out today, but maybe this weekend I can get one or two workouts in, but we're just going to kind of play it by ear. And then another thing that I sort of created for myself, and these I find it's really helpful, and it's not really related to the 12-week year planning that I do, but this is just something that kind of helps me uh, have a running list and stay on track in all these different domains of my life. And so I print out, I have these little half pages, and I put them in the middle of each of these weekly spreads, and we can see I have writing, publishing, marketing, admin and business, finance, house and family, personal health, and then any travel that is happening that week. And so I like these and I keep them. I don't take them out. I keep them in between each of my weekly pages. And these are just kind of, things that I want to make sure I'm getting done this week, or, they're kind of like high priority items. And then I use each of the sort of daily boxes as almost like little mini to-do lists. And can I just say, like, this has really been working for me this year. I love the consistency of planning this way. I love that, everything I need is in one place. I'm not reaching for 7 different planners. I'm done doing that. I'm also keeping everything just feels very tight and it's together and condensed, and it just helps me really keep my head wrapped around all the things that I want to accomplish and get done, both for my writing business, for my YouTube channel, and then also just for my personal life and things that I have to keep track of. And it has been really helpful to me to just have everything here in one place. If I'm not getting everything done on here, or I want to be like, oh, what was it that I was trying to, make sure I got taken care of last week? It's just a couple page flips away, and I have all of these little sheets for every single week. And I have been loving this. And then just kind of then making each of these daily pages tiny little to-do lists. Nothing gets out of hand, nothing gets, too crazy. It's all right here. And I have just had this it's just really been this kind of overall sense of calm when it comes to my planning and getting a lot more accomplished. So I feel like this year has been the closest I have ever come to really making sure that all of the projects that I have set for myself, all of the tasks that go along with those they're really getting accomplished. So I feel really happy and confident as I'm moving into quarter two and this next phase of my of 12-week planning. So speaking of that, let's talk about these pages right here. So as you can see, I've already filled these out, and each one of these pages represents one goal. Now, this is not everything and all things that I'm going to have to do for the next, 12 weeks. Because as I said, these are not necessarily all of these other things. Like they're not like, things I have to remember for our finances, house and family. They're not personal health and they're not travel. These are really just my goals that are related to my writing career, what I want to do here on YouTube, and then also marketing. And the marketing piece is definitely related. It's tied to my writing goal. I would say, like, here on YouTube, I think I've been really kind of thinking, what do I want this space to be? Um, what direction, what kind of niche do I want to fall into? And I think I have decided that really for YouTube, this is kind of it's more of a play space for me. It's not really tied to my career as a writer or my life. I mean, it is kind of about, being a creator, because I talk about, planning and productivity and personal growth things for myself and other creators. But it's not what I would guess I would say this isn't like a career space for me. It's really just sort of a place for me to share what I do as a creator, things, tools, tips, and tricks, that help me as a creator in my creative business. And it's just kind of for fun. Like this is like my YouTube space is not really somewhere where I plan on it being a revenue income for me. Now, if that changes in the future, fine, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But right now, it's like I just want to make, videos that I enjoy making, and it's just really to kind of satisfy that another sort of creative outlet for me. And I think like once I sort of decided that, it just became very clear to me the type of videos that I want to make here. And they really are going to just sort of focus on like planning and productivity and personal growth, but very specifically for, people that are working in the creative space, like, writers and artists, that sort of thing. Because I do think that sometimes our minds maybe work a little bit differently. And, I do think sometimes we can be, maybe not everybody, obviously, but like a little bit more sensitive. And like the business side of, being a creator can sometimes get to us or weigh on us or just kind of bring us down, or it's not really why we became creators in the first place. And so I feel like this YouTube channel for me is just going to be a space to kind of explore that, and maybe just share tips and tricks on how to balance, being somebody who, enjoys their imagination and putting your creativity out into the world, and then how to sort of do that while maintaining your sanity with regards to the, sometimes not fun business side of that. So enough about that. It's not really here nor there, but it does kind of give me some direction with regards to what I want to kind of focus on in this space as I move forward. So anyway, if we're talking about my 12-week goals, and I mean, it's been a while since I've shared these pages, so I'll go over them a little bit again. And then this is something I designed myself. I'm pretty sure I just did it on probably on Canva a couple years ago. And so I really designed this to go hand in hand with that 12-week planning program. And the whole thing about the 12-week planning program is that, you have a goal, you talk about why that goal is important to you, and then you come up with a list of projects that are directly related to that goal. And then those projects are going to have tasks, right? But the thing about the 12 weeks is that you're going to have a week that they're due, not like, 27 weeks from now, but in the next 12 weeks, when is that project due? And I put the date on here as well. And then you're going to also measure your lead and or lag indicators. And so, the difference here is it took me a while to kind of, because I'm not a business kind of person, but a lead indicator is definitely going to be more of the things that are definitely within your control. So like, what are the indicators that I am actually accomplishing my projects and or my tasks that are kind of within my control? So this first goal is I want to finish my next book, which is Her Name Was Lola, edit it and publish it by June 30th. Now, that probably sounds like a really huge goal, except that the first draft is nearly done. I have over 100,000 words for this book. I'm suspecting it's going to be now about another 15,000 before that first draft is completely finished. So, no way could I write an entire book from scratch, edit and publish it in 12 weeks. However, the rough draft is nearly finished. So, I just have to get that part done. And then we're going to have the list of all the other projects and tasks that are going to support that goal. And then, my why for this is like to increase my list, meaning my book list of available titles that I have out there. And then that, of course, increases my income that comes in for my writing. So my writing career. So we have here just a few of the projects. I have to complete the first draft, get the edits done, and then publish the book. Now, obviously, this is a very high level view of these projects. There are so many things that go into each one of these. But here's kind of a rough due date that I have for each of those. And so the first draft, I would love to have that finished by April 15th. The first edits, and that's all the edits, meaning like I've gone through developmental edits, line edits, and copy edits by the end of May, and then have this book published by June 30th, which of course is the last day of this 12-week arc. So there's that. And now here are kind of high level tasks. And here we have that, I have to write the remainder of the first draft, do the developmental edits, line edits, copy edits, lay out the ebook, the trade paperback, and the hardback, do covers for each of those formats, write the blurb copy. I'd like to either contract that audio or sell the rights for the audio, upload that book to Amazon, Lightning stores, and Draft to Digital, which are the only places I'm distributing my titles through. And then I have to also do the A plus content. Now, this one here, this A plus content, I kind of went back and forth. It's like, well, like, should this be part of this writing and publishing goal, or this could actually also be a part of my marketing? So I don't know. It's just got to live somewhere so that I remember to keep track of it. Some of my lead indicators that I have are, the words written, edits completed, and then published on time. Lag indicators for these. And so I guess I kind of struggle to think of what the lag indicators would be, because this is a particular goal that is definitely completely within my control to measure the outcomes. And I think a lag indicator here would be appropriate if I had written into this goal maybe an income. Sorry about that. An income goal as well. So if I had said finish this, edit publish by June 30th, and then like set an income goal, like, $20,000 or whatever, additional income by releasing this book. So then the lag indicator here would potentially be like a sales and income goal, because whereas I might set that goal, I don't necessarily have a lot of control over, people buying that. And so, but I didn't, I, this is, that's not what this is. Like, I'm just kind of really focusing on these lead indicators. Now, down here at the bottom, I have this weekly task execution score. And so what this is sort of like, we have week 1 through 12. And to the degree of the tasks that I have laid out for myself and then the due dates, I have not gone through and listed all the due dates for each of these things. But once I have that, then I will know, okay, what needed to get accomplished in week one? And then how much of that did I do? So like if I had said here, I do have the due date for the remainder of draft one. And so that I'm pretty sure that falls in week two. So for week one and week two, if it's, let's just make it easy. Say I had 10,000 more words to write, that would be 5,000 words each of those weeks. Did I write 5,000 words in week one? And if so, then, my weekly task execution score would be 100%. But if I'd only written, like 2,500 words, then my weekly task execution score would only be 50%. And so you can see as you go through for each of these, I will have to go through and like write the week that it's due. And then as we come along, like depending on the scope of each of those tasks, to what percentage of them did I execute? And so when you're looking at the actual 12-week planning system, they say you want to shoot for like to kind of make sure that you're continuing to drive and move forward like towards accomplishing your goal. These weekly task execution scores, you really want them to kind of be about 85%. And so, I have found like I rarely like get through a whole 12-week session and like I have 85, 85, 100, 100. Like, there are some weeks where I have zero, and that's not great, but at least I'm measuring and tracking it. And I can be like, okay, instead of having two of those weeks in a row, let's make sure then the next week we are working on that task list. You know what you need to do. Like you have the due date, you have it listed out. And so let's make sure that we're working on those things because otherwise we're never sort of climbing the ladder of these tasks to accomplish, to accomplish these projects that are tied to these goals. So I really do love this system because I find that, you know, keeping myself accountable for these weekly tasks and that I'm executing on it, that is what's huge because I find that the weeks can just kind of spiral away from me and I'm losing track of the steps along the way that are leading me to what it is that I'm actually trying to do in the first place. So as you can see, I've done the same thing. I've laid out the same thing for my YouTube channel, and I have set a really lofty goal for myself for YouTube. Even though this is like a fun space for me, I do want to see it grow, like just for the fun of it, and I want to put out more content now that I have kind of come up with this idea of what I want my focus to be for YouTube. And so I want to increase the visibility and potential, maybe potential income streams here, but this is not like I'm not really focused on this right now because I think at this point, like I just need to be worried about growing. And the growing is going to come from what? From creating more content, in this space. And so over the next 12 weeks, I would like to create 24 new YouTube videos. This is a huge goal for me. I feel a little shaky about it, honestly, because I've never produced that many videos in that short amount of time. So, but we're going to try, we're going to see what happens. And then at, the end of June, I'm definitely going to have this record available and we can revisit then and say, when I do my sort of 12-week review, how did it go? Like, did you do it? Did you even get close? And so it'll be kind of fun to sort of see like what these numbers look like. So if you'd like to see whether I have succeeded or just, failed miserably and that this was a terrible goal for me, come back in June. We're going to take a look at that again and just see how I did. And then my third goal, this one's tied to my writing career. I want to continue to grow my social media followers across all my platforms by creating quality book focused content consistently. It's the consistently piece for me. I will say that over the previous 12 weeks, over my last 12-week section, I did a lot better. I had kind of consistently set a goal of myself of producing 3 new reels every week. And so I really have built that habit of producing that content for those spaces. And so I'm really here the lead indicators that I have for the task I've set out for myself. You can see that I set for myself that I'm only going to be doing 24 reels total for these next 12 weeks instead of what would that have been? 36 that I had tried to accomplish last in the last 12 weeks. I'm going to set 6 newsletters for myself, and then I want to do 12 Substack posts. I did start a Substack at the end of last year. But I haven't really been doing anything consistently with it. And so I think if I can sort of set myself, one post, basically like a blog post there per week, and then I'll cross post those over onto my blog on my website as well. And we're gonna see how that goes. So a lot of this is going to be lead indicators, consistently posting that content, and then the lag indicators are going to be on this one. We're going to see if doing this work increases my follower count across any of those platforms. So it's going to be like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, also my Substack followers, newsletter followers. We're just gonna see if doing that work consistently over the next 12 weeks moves the needle on those at all or not at all. But we're gonna find out for sure. So anyway, that's essentially what is happening in my planner for April and also for the next 12 weeks. We'll see, I might change out my 6 ring binder for the month of May, or I might just go ahead and stay. This will be my second month staying in my Louis Vuitton here. But I'm going to go ahead and place these pages up here with my yearly overview goal that I have. And that's essentially what I'm using. These are the tools that I'm using to try to reach those goals here for the next 12 weeks. If you have any questions about this, go ahead and put them in the comments below. If there's any additional videos you'd like me to make, like kind of explaining this process with a little more clarity, or maybe like dialing in on any aspect of it, just to give a little more insight, go ahead and let me know. I'd happy to answer any of those questions for you. But other than that, thanks for watching this, and I will see you next time. Thank you.